Hi everyone, welcome to the Matchbook Horse Racing Podcast, where we've got an international show for you today, joined by Steve Jones, by Micheál Deasy and by Charlie Post. We're starting with the UK action. There's so much terrestrial racing on. We all nearly fainted when we worked out just how much we could be previewing. But what we've chosen to do is focus on Saturday, do all the ITV races on Saturday, 11 of them I think there are from the UK, and then we'll have a Breeders' Cup section at the end, bit of Friday, bit of Saturday on there as well. Let's be honest, we're going to major on the turf contest, but I've got a couple of things from the dirt contest to mention. That's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. The home stuff should be. We've got Grade 1 action over at Down Royal, and that's where we're going to start. Let me remind you to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It makes it really easy for you to watch and listen to every single podcast across all sports that goes up. That's going to be important for the World Cup, which is just around the corner. Head to insights.matchbook.com for a recap of all of our best bets as well. That will be up today, posted by our esteemed producer, Daniel Hussey, from later on today. That'll be up there for all the best bets. Okay, we've got a shed load to get through, so let's get stuck in. We're going to start with the 232 at Down Royal, the Champion Chase. Price, or not sure we have, yeah, we do have prices for you for this, don't we? So Galvin's a warm order towards the top of the betting, unsurprisingly, 2.1. Conflated is 3.6. Kembo is 6.4. Envoi Allen 8.2. Beacon Edge 8.4. Well, I'll be honest, I was going to do a no bet here, but I think Galvin's too big at 2.1, so that's made my decision nice and easy. Charlie?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think he's the best horse in the race. He was obviously narrowly beaten in this by Frodon last year, and in what I think was a better contest than this time around. He was very impressive at Punchestown on his return, gave lumps away to Run Wild Fred, and was impressive. And yeah, I just think he wins this, and I thought he'd be a lot shorter.
Okay, Steve, does it make any betting appeal to you or not really?
No, I was tempted to chance Conflated, who I think came out of nowhere last season and has the potential to kick on again. But given that Galvin and him aren't a million miles apart in the betting, and Galvin's already run, I would have chanced him if he was bigger Conflated, but he's not. So no, there's too many other races for me, so I'm quite happy to pass it over.
DC 2.1 Galvin.
Yeah, very happy to take that. He should win this fairly easy. This race last year was the end of my Galvin for the Grand National anti-post bet fairly early on this season. He proved himself to be a much better horse than that, and I think he'll probably end up in the Gold Cup again this year, and he should win this fairly handy.
I agree. I think Galvin, if you can get odds against Galvin, happy days. That's very fair. So 2.1 is a bit of a team selection for Galvin in the Champion Chase. Bosh, let's not hang around. We've got a lot to get through. So we're going to kick on. We're now going to go back in time. We're going to go to Wincanton Mares Hurdle. 12.40 this is. I'll give you the prices for these. Lady Adair is 3.15. Winhouse 4.7. Rose of Arcadia 4.8. Sabrina 6.6. Ukaneva 8.8, 13.0, and bigger the rest. DC, straight back to you. Where do you want to start?
I'm just going to go with last year's winner, Winhouse. You landed a nice bet there last week, Tom. I think with Mariali's wishes, and your angle was horses doing the same thing this year. I think that it was the only race that she won last year. I think she was impressive enough in it as well. She beat Rose of Arcadia this time last year in this race, and is, I think, better off at the weights this time. So I'm happy enough just to stick with her just for a small win only bet. This is open enough. There's a few kind of unknowns in there, but I think she's a good mare.
All right, Steve Jones.
Yeah, I thought I wanted to take on Lady Adair because she's got top weights, and although she's unbeaten, she can be very keen, especially first time out. So I just thought Sabrina was too big. It's been running well on decent-ish ground. Made a perfectly respectable return at Newton Abbott. And Freddie Ginchel takes off £10, who's obviously Colin Tizard's grandson, and riding for Paul Nicholls. So I just thought that off a lightweight, she had a chance. I don't think it was the deepest race. And I'd chuck a bit at her because I think she's too big in the betting.
6.6 and Rose of Arcadia, Charlie.
Yeah, so I mean, like Dee says, going back to what they've done before. She was third in this last year behind Winhouse. It's too keen that day. I mean, she was 170 grand per point-to-point purchase this, and she'd been disappointing, but she'd also ran okay at Newbury off 120 and marked so that. And then she went pointing, and it seemed to do her confidence the world of good. She won a couple of British point-to-points impressively, and then started back this season and absolutely hosed up at Chepstow off 113. She carries a £7 penalty, and she doesn't have Freddie Ginger on board to tomorrow, which maybe is a bit of a negative from a weights perspective. But I think she's plenty of ability, this filly, and like I say, I think she's already shown she can be competitive off this mark, and I just think there's a chance that she might realise the potential that her initial purchase price suggested that she should have, and she could just kick on a bit. I think this horse. I think she's been an underachiever, but maybe she's getting the wheels back on track.
Rose of Arcadia then at 4.8 for that Mayor's Handicap Hurdle. Next up, we're going to Donny first with a few races there. We were just discussing before we came on air how different the ground is between the National Hunt and the Flats. This is going to be very testing ground at Doncaster because it's been watered all year. At Newbury yesterday, we had quick ground, even though they had shed loads of rain. So I think it's well worth bearing in mind if you're playing at Doncaster, don't be fooled by any National Hunt ground you've seen, because this is going to take plenty of getting. Art Powers 3.3, Comanche Falls 4.4, Summergan 6.6, Tarhib 8.0, Chipstead 10.5, Rhythm Master is 10.0. Bigger prices the rest. Steve, straight back to you. Go on, Steve, come in again.
Sorry. You've put me off. Yeah, I like this race. I think Rhythm Master's got a really, really top chance. Was third in this race to Kings Lynn last year on soft ground, and it'll be even more testing, if anything. And that's when Rhythm Master really comes into his own. And it was with Richard Fahey, but because he's owned by John and Jess Dance, he switched to James Horton, who's had a pretty solid first year up at Middleham, and Rhythm Master won on the all-weather back in June, but it's only had 4 starts this season. I think that's a really big positive because he comes in there a lot fresher than most of the horses. And last time, generally runs over 7 furlongs, and that stamina will definitely come into play on this heavy ground. And last time it Redcar over 7, only finished a length behind I'm a Gambler, who is a really progressive horse for Mark and Charlie Johnston. That was a listed race. So he's well up to this level and dropping back in distance. You know, he ran well in the race last year, and he's just got a huge amount in his favour. I think they'll go quite a good pace in here. There's a few front runners, and he can just sit in behind that pace and hopefully pick them up and use that stamina in the closing stages. So I'm massively keen on Rhythm Master.
Okay, Peter's Punt says, I'm going to get a T-shirt printed with "You're on mute, Steve" on it. That's quite right. Listen, it's not easy to do to remember to unmute.
The problem is my laptop is so knackered it makes strange noises, so I mute myself so I don't embarrass myself. But then I end up doing that anyway. Sorry, Pete.
Everyone else mutes themselves. They just remember to unmute. We love Steve. I can't remember where we're going. DC, what do you think? Steve Rhythm Master 10.0, DC volatile analyst. That's what you are, DC. You're a volatile analyst.
Depends on the day. I was a no bet for this race until about 10 minutes ago, and I said I would stick up volatile analyst. He finished, I think, was 5th in this last year. I thought he was a bigger price. He was 51.0 2 days ago. Now he's into 22.0 with us. So he has good track form. Heavy ground is a bit of an unknown, but he has won on soft and good to soft and at Doncaster as well. I just think he's a very big price, and you're going to be getting 4 or 5 places in this, so I'll probably have just a very, very small win bet and back him for 4 places and 5 places and hope he just runs on at the end, because it will be extreme ground. I think it won't suit a lot of them, and I'm just taking a chance that it will suit him.
Welcome along to Trevor as well. He says, "Let's go, boys. Love this show." Welcome along, Trevor. Good to have you on board. I thought Art Power was a big price here. If you go back to the the pick of Art Power's form, and that includes a soft testing ground second at Royal Ascot last year. I think that he's comfortably the one to beat. The other thing I like about him is he's lightly raced coming into this year. So he's only had 4 starts since August. I don't know what the setback was. One at the Curragh on yielding to soft. I mean, this will probably be the limit of what he wants testing ground wise, but I think he should prove too good for them. I mean, I know that, he's carrying 9-10, so he's got a penalty for that Curragh Group 3 success. I thought his price was fair enough. Thought it was too big. I looked at trying to find something at a big price that likes heavy ground, and nothing really did it for me. So I thought Art Power was a very fair price at the top of the betting. Probably a small to middle win bet for me on him. All right, 101. The 101. It's a good race time for an exchange. 101. The per temps qualifier at Aintree. Charlie, I'll come to you first because I know you sat Donny out. So Jericho Rock 4.0, Milan Bridge 4.1, 6.0 Flight Deck, 7.4 Johnson's Blue. Sounds rude. And Remastered 9.4 and Bigger the remainder. First 4, remember. First 4 qualify, not first 6 anymore for the pretends. Charlie, straight back at you.
Yeah, I've gone with the pipe second string, Remastered. He's had a wind up. He ran well in this race last year. He was not beat very far by Khashari. He loves a bit of slow ground, and I know they give in Aintree as good to soft, but I'll be very interested to see if it doesn't ride a little bit slower than that. It'll be kind of fascinating from that point of view. But he ran perfectly well on that ground last year, and like I say, if it deteriorates any further, he'll be ideally suited. He's a real thorough stayer. He can pop out and make the running. He's pretty versatile, and like with the wind up, I just think he's a sort of horse that he should be running well in this. He's an absolute resolute stayer.
Steve.
Yeah, I agree with that. Remastered. I wasn't mad keen on the race, but I thought Remastered was a little bit overpriced. He's had that breathing operation. He was unlucky in what is now the old Hennessy, and he certainly would have gone close in that. And he's much better handicapped, or potentially much better handicapped over hurdles. So, yeah, I agree with Charlie. Remastered.
And Micheál Deasy. I'm sitting this one out. Deasy, 4.1 shot for you.
Yeah, this is a tough enough race because, Deschaba and Remastered finished second and third in this last year, but I think there's at least 5 horses in this that are probably using this as a prep race before they go chasing in a couple of weeks' time. And I always think the per temps races are kind of funny because there is the angle of do they want to win this to push up their mark to get into when they qualify to run in that race in the festival and all the rest of it. So, long story short, I gone for Milan Bridge. Paul Nicholls' horse, so he's been this is a hot enough handicap to make your handicap debut in, but he won his two novice hurdles fairly well. I'd say he's a stayer in the making. He will. I think he will genuinely be out to win this. I think he'll want to win this, and he possibly could go on to novice chasing after this as well. But I think he's a good horse. I liked the style of his 2 wins. He carried a double penalty, I think, in the second race there on Fontville. He's back from his break now. There's been a bit of support for him, so I'm happy enough just to have a small win bet on him in this.
Okay, small win bet for you in that qualifier, per temps qualifier, Milan Bridge 4.1. We're going to Wincanton next for a Rising Star Novices Chase. So McFabulous is 2.2. I thought he might be a bit short in that. Wanted to take him on. Sebastopol 3.9, 4.8 hang in there. Utrecht 9.8, Mortlack 18.5. So I'll just kick off because I sat the last one out. I'm against McFabulous. I think he's a very talented but very tricky horse. This might be exactly the sort of race he wants. Smallish field, novice chase where he can be kept alone. I don't think he likes being around other horses a huge amount. They kept going over hurdles to give him a staying, whatever that race is called now, the staying hurdle campaign, and he proved he probably didn't quite see that out when it was a proper test. This trip's right for him. He's the best horse in the race. I thought he might be odds on, so I'll probably say 2.0 or bigger. Paul Nicholls had some really nice novices recently, like Gelino Bello. Stage Star was really good, and I think punters might get behind this horse, and I think that's dangerous because there's plenty of horses with some decent chase experience in here, and I wonder how McFabulous will be over the bigger obstacles. So I want to lay him, but it would be at 2.0 or shorter would be the caveat to that. Charlie?
Yeah, I was a no bet. I mean, but like you say, I think it is very interesting. I mean, he's 8 years old as well, McFabulous, going chasing. Like, you know, this definitely hasn't been like a guaranteed plan for him. And like you say, I think they've kind of run out of options hurdling, and they're looking to kind of explore other opportunities. This is obviously often a weak graded contest that he's kicking off in. The problem I found is it's what you take him on with. Sebastopol I don't really trust. I'm not sure he's absolutely wild about jumping fences either. And the rest of them are sort of summer horses. Hang in there was very disappointing last time at Cheltenham. Again, I think they said that the good ground was too slow or something. So again, hoping for quick conditions. It's a real just chancy race for me. I'd be quite happy to watch it and see how McFabulous adapts to fences, but I certainly wouldn't want to back him.
Okay, you'll see. So lay at 2.0 or shorter for me for McFabulous, just to confirm that. Lay at 2.0 or shorter for me. There was another no bet and another bet. Oh, Steve, you fancy one at a bit of a price?
Well, only because I saw everyone else was no bet, so I thought I'd better come up with something. Because I don't trust McFabulous like the rest of the. Say again?
You're such a team player. You're such a good guy.
Clubman of the year.
Yeah, come on, yeah. They always give that to the guy that got 3 every week and dropped 10 catches, and but was a good laugh in the bar.
I wrote in. You know, you're on Racing TV, and on Wednesday night, everyone asking for emails. I wrote an email in, but it obviously did they send it on to you?
No. The saddest thing is you were working at Kempton that night.
I was really. You
should have been concentrating, not sending
between races, and I could hear Steve being like, "Thanks for your emails." So I was like, right. I sent an email called Steve Jones's helmet, and it was about your It was about your light blue helmet that you wear when you're playing cricket. And
luckily,
it didn't get rid out, so I was disappointed. I thought I'd give it a bit of airtime anyway. Go on, Steve.
Luckily, Wonga, who was Ben Wong, who was the producer that night, thinks you're a complete knobhead anyway. So he clearly. Anyway, back to this race, which is it's got a bit of a record of throwing up decent horses back in the day. Houblon des Obeaux, great horse, and Frodon won this a few years ago, and various others. But I don't trust McFabulous, like the others say. If it's right that he doesn't like being surrounded by other horses, well, he's got problems, isn't he? Because Nicholls has got about 200 of the things, and the one that I thought I'd chance was Dan Skelton's horse Utred, who surprisingly was sold. Jigginstown got rid of him. Maybe that's because he likes fast ground. And first time up, he was pulled up at Cheltenham for Dan Skelton, but that's because he jumped the path and Harry Skelton pulled him up immediately. And he was just getting into the race, I thought, behind Strawfan Jack. They rode him in the rear that day. Now, in Ireland, he'd been running over further a little bit, and I think they might jump him off in front here. And I think that makes him interesting.
Okay, good stuff. 9.8 for Utrecht. I know DC doesn't fancy anything. Right, let's move on to Donny. This is the is it called the Gillies Fillies Stakes? That's a weird name. Anyway, that's what it is. Let's have a look at the betting. Life of Dreams is 4.1, Sweet Believer 4.6, Moon de Vega 6.0, Something Enticing 8.0, Misty Dancer 8.2. I will kick off if I can. I sort of want to take on Life of Dreams on the ground. I just think, I don't know that she won't handle it, but I think it's enough to take her on. I think she probably wants to test it at this trip anyway, so that might be a plus for her. But we know that Moon de Vega will handle the ground. She hasn't had a hard time of it this year. and I thought she was overpriced. I thought there was a bit of Appleby factor in Life of Dreams price. She might be the best of them, but Moon de Vega just ticks a few more of the known boxes. 6.0 I thought was fair enough. DC. Oh, you'll know better. Sorry, mate. I'm going to swerve you because we're time is against us. Charlie.
Something enticing for me. Was second in this last year. Handles soft ground well. Has had the wind up. Ran a cracker first run back from that behind Al Hassan at Newmarket. Is a strong traveller, and like I say, second time after a wind up can often be the time to catch these sort of horses. So something enticing for me. Win and place. And Steve.
Anyone who's been fishing know you've always got to look out for the Gillies fillies. Sweet Believer for me was the form of that second to Bayside Boy. It worked out pretty well because Bayside Boy obviously won the Group 1 on Champions Day, the QE2. And Sweet Believer ran very well on Champions Day, was just mugged by the rank outsider Shalier in the Balmoral handicap. I still thought that was a really good effort, and probably the draw being very high on the stand side didn't help Sweet Believer. And I think this is a very progressive filly who clearly thrives on soft ground. So Sweet Believer.
Sweet Believer for Steve. All right, where are we going now? Trevor Clark says Moon de Vega, my best bet of the day, by the way. Good stuff, Trevor. Liking the sound of that. Giles says 18 black type hunters. So true. So true. Right, this is the Badger Ales. Can't remember which one it is. It's the 61st of them. Frodon is 4.6. We know he goes here, not down Royal. And Rillo, the other Paul Nichols, run at 5.0. Lord Accord 6.6. Captain Ord 8.6. 9.4. Potterman 14.0. And Bigger the Rest. DC, come in.
I like Captain Ord for this. He's running off a featherweight. He has had his little prep run at Chepstow there. I don't think he was off a yard that day. He was a big drift in the betting, and he had a 7-pound claimer on and said that was just to get him spot on for this, and I expect a very good run from him.
Okay, Steve.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. It's great to see Frodon in here, keeping the weights down, but I just wonder, Frodon's been on the go a hell of a long time. He's been in some real battles, and it didn't particularly perform the back end of last season, having made after winning at Down Royal first time up, then didn't run particularly well. So I'm just a bit concerned that Frodon on fast ground, no, like it's decent ground, but horses, I think, change their going preference over time. And I'd be worried about Frodon being taken off his feet as well on fast ground because he likes to bowl along. And the one who's half his age is Red Happy of David Pipes, who's got a really low weight, comes into it in good form, won at Exeter last time, being Vision de Flow, who's a good horse, although maybe 3 miles doesn't suit him. But Red Happy's won 4 of his last 5 starts going right-handed. He has to go right-handed, in my opinion. Yet David Pipe ran him all summer left-handed, and I think that was to protect his handicap. I mean, he won a couple of times, and I just think he's really well handicapped. He loves fast ground. He came over from France and is just really hit himself now. Gets on well with Philip Armson, who's a £3 claimer. So Red Happy for me. I'm really keen on him. I think he's way overpriced.
I like this comment from Trevor. I hadn't really thought about this. I don't think it's the case, but I like it as a sort of, possible job from Nichols. Is it a Nichols job? Frodon in to get Enrillo a nice weight. I mean, I think
to be fair, Enrillo needs all the help he can get because I wouldn't trust him a single millimetre.
I like the idea though, Trevor.
Yeah, so do I.
Charlie Post.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting idea. I mean, I'm again very against Frodon. I think he's a place lay for me. I think he'll get absolutely rushed off his feet, and I just wonder if his best days are behind him now. I came down with Slipway for the Ben Pauling yard. He second season novice. He rounded off last season's campaign at Perth, won impressively. I think chucked up 10 for that. But Ben's also have absolutely taken off and held their form since he's moved to this new yard, which obviously Slipway hasn't ran from yet. And he's got a really light weight because of Frodon in and off their 10 stone 3. and winning place for me. Yeah, he's a strong traveller as well, which I think is very important around Wincanton in these type of races.
Peter says Nichols wouldn't do that to Frodon. Nichols wouldn't do that to Frodon. He probably wouldn't, to be fair. But I think Frodon's running here genuinely because of the ground, and he's got a good record under a big weight, hasn't he, Frodon? But I wouldn't want to be with him. I'm with El Presente at just a big price. He needs a change because he just jumped like a whatever last time. That was off the back of a break. He won this race a few years ago. He's probably a bit lucky to do so because the Colin Tizard horse may have won, but he did. He came down 2 or 3 out, whatever it was. He's off a similar sort of weight here. I have no doubt that this horse was, given a run last time to put him right for this. The trouble is he jumped so badly, he didn't make it round. Jockey change. I think Kieran Gethens will suit him. And Visor on for the first time, I think is enough to chance him at a big price. Very small bet, win and place. Next race. Everyone's done there, haven't they? Yes. Next race we go to, so we've had El Presente, Slipway, Red Happy, Captain Ord in that one. This is the 211. I'm sitting out because I didn't look at Aintree. Broken Halo is 6.4. Al Dancer, 2 for Gold is 7.6. Al Dancer 8.8, as is Lifetime Ambition. Senior Sitters at 9.0. Spirit of the Games 9.4. Bigger prices the rest. Couple of shouts for Al Dancer. Charlie, first of all.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, hopefully Di Walters and Sam Thomas are okay. I mean, after what happened during the week, pretty horrendous stuff. But yeah, Al Dancer, he's a real classy horse. Back in he was fancied for a few of those big handicaps around Cheltenham at stages throughout his career. Transferred to Sam last season. It took him a while to find his form, but sort of in the spring there were signs he was coming back to it at Chepstow and Newbury. He's a real strong traveller. I think he's a pretty sound jumper. He'll be in and around the speed, which again I think in these 2.5 mile races over the national fences, you want to be up there kind of the whole way around. And he's handicapped to win a pot like this.
Okay, and Steve, you agree?
Yeah, totally agree. Like Charlie said, he's always had a load of class. He went off joint favourite for a Supreme years ago. And he's only been with Sam Thomas 5 starts. And like Charlie said, his best run was his last run when he was beating a neck at Newbury. And he does travel well. He's a very neat jumper. And I think that's what you need around the Aintree fences these days. You just need a horse that's just going to keep popping away. And that's what he did that day, and he's always had no problem with soft ground. He's very well handicapped, and Sam Thomas last weekend had some good winners, so he's started the week in great form, Sam Thomas, and just hope that all those guys in the chopper were all right. I mean, God, that's a terrible story, but hopefully they can have something to cheer them up big time with El Dancer around those big Aintree fences. And Charlie Deutsch takes the ride, who I think is the best chase jockey bar none at the moment.
Okay, and DC, might throw this one at you from Giles, actually. Have we forgotten the Irish chasers are better / well handicapped or better handicapped? Lifetime Ambition, a graded chaser in a handicap, only £1 higher than in Ireland.
Yeah, I had a good look at Lifetime Ambition. He beat Beacon Edge and Vanilla and a few other good horses this time last year at Down Royal, and it was a bit of a shock. He was a decent enough price. I don't know what it was about him. I just don't. I think he's probably handicapped to the max now at this stage. I think he's probably carrying as much weight as he should be. I don't think he's probably that good. He even at the end of the season, you look at his form there behind Capadano or at Punchestown, when a lot of the horses will be over the top, and he was still fairly well beaten 6.5 lengths. So I have a terrible record with Jesse Harrington horses, so I could be completely wrong. I just don't fancy him for this. Maybe he's over there having a look just to see how he travels over for later in the year, but I wouldn't fancy him for this. The horse I do fancy is 2 for Gold, who is carrying more weight than Lifetime Ambition. He's the top weight. But he ran very well in the Grand National last year. He did pull up, but he pulled up after about 3 3/4 miles. He was up with them most of the way, jumping fine. He actually unseated in the 2 mile. I can't think the name now at Aintree the season before. So just to see him get the round was a good sign. he could have gone for easier races than this. I think for his early season target, he's a very good horse, very tough horse. The way he beat Dasher last year, just battle back to beat him. I think he can just go up front and can just keep galloping, and it'll take a very good horse to get past him. I think he's a very good bet at the prices of, is he 8 point something. Yeah, I fancy for this. I think he's a top class horse.
Yeah, we've got 7.6. Steve?
7.6.
Yeah, I thought Jessie Harrington's horse was interesting, Lifetime Ambition, but her jumpers aren't going all that great. So she hasn't had a winner for a good while. So that put me off her. But I did think it was interesting given that Irish bias that seems to be to favour the Irish horses.
Well, the ones that are more favoured are the handicap hurdlers. Irish handicap chasers aren't generally as well treated. I think because they're running in better races in Ireland, then there isn't really too much place to hide. But the hurdlers are definitely always much better handicapped than the handicap chasers. Even if you look at the festivals the last few years, our handicap chasers haven't done that very well.
That's the 211, the Grand Sefton at Aintree. Okay, after that we've got the 245, so 2.5 mile hurdle. Again, no bet from Steve and I on this occasion. Dees, I'm sort of most interested in your opinion, really. 2.32 Brewing Up a Storm, Langadan 2.88, Dasher 4.1, Wider Rev 21.0. Given that you've made a few trips over to Ollie Murphy's yard of late for some filming, you want to lay his horse?
I'll tell you exactly why, right? I had him down kind of as my selection from the early picks, and I logged in this morning and I saw that Charlie was tipping Dash and Thrasher. And if anyone has the inside on Brewing Up a Storm, Charlie Pope.
Do your own work. It's great.
He spoke about him as well last week that they might take him. No, he won this race last year. He's a very very good horse, but he's a very hard horse to catch right. And if Charlie isn't tipping him to win, maybe he's not ready.
Charlie,
I haven't got a clue. I haven't asked him. I mean, he's had a wind up. Obviously, I think
nobody believes Charlie Post.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I just my feeling about the race was I'd be delighted if he wins for Ollie, but I just thought there's no real pace in the race. Dash or Thrasher. He won a handicap off of 149 round Newbury last year. Was really game doing it, and he loves slow ground as well. Langadan and Brewing Up a Storm both want to take a lead or even be slotted in. Wada Rev I couldn't really see winning, and so just at the prices, I just thought if he gets an easy time of it in front, I think you'll love that straight at Aintree. It goes on forever, and this horse is pretty relentless. And if he can get the two of them off the bridle, I think that he might take a little bit of pass in Dash or Thrasher.
All right, that is Aintree sewn up. We're going back to Wincanton for the elite. So Royale is at the top of the betting, treading the path that he did last year from Kempton onto this. 2.22, Nappers Hill 3.1, Milkwood 6.6, Night Salute 9.2. I had a pretty clear opinion of this race, was that So Royale 2.22 was very fair. I thought he should have won at Kempton. I thought he was very good. He was a bit funny at a few, but apparently that's because he hadn't seen the white on hurdles before. Because he hasn't done anything over them at home. I mean, he looked as good as ever, as zesty as ever. I think they've made hay with Nappers Hill and found some good opportunities. I know he's getting weight from So Royale, but I'm not sure I think the price difference should be bigger. And I thought Night Salute should be third in the betting personally. I know that he's got the penalty for his Aintree success, but 4-year-old, the favourite here, So Royale won this as a 4-year-old. 4-year-olds have won it, and I think he's a decent one. So although I'm not going to back him, my bet is the favourite So Royale. But I thought Night Salute was a bit overpriced. I thought I'd just mention that. Charlie.
I mean, again, this race has changed, hasn't it? Because it was a limited handicap, and now it's just penalties, isn't it, for graded wins? And yeah, because of that, I came down strongly with So Royale. I agree with you. As in he's rated £11 better than Nappers Hill, but he only has to give him 6. And just, at the weights, he should win. And like you say, he looked every bit as good last time at Kempton. He's very effective around this track. Alan King continues in good form. I thought the price was very, very fair for him.
DC, you're in Nappers.
Yeah, I know he's won a few. He's won a good few soft races at odds on. I think he went off 1-7 or something this time last year at Chepstow. But I think that he is improving, and he has been well placed. And I mean, Paul Nichols is all about winning races and getting the prize money at the end of the day. Like, he wants to win the championship, and they've done this very well with this horse. I think he's well worth to go up at this level. And So Royal is different class probably to them, but I think he's 10 now. He's getting on. He could be vulnerable to an up and coming horse, and I know it's not a huge price differential, but I'm willing to take a chance on Nappers Hill to keep improving and to run a big race here.
Okay, that's Nappers Hill at 3.1. We've still got the November handicap to go, the last of the 11. This is the 3.13. Steve, I'll start with you here because you sat the elite out. Isra is 3.8, Nathaniel Green 8.8, both 3-year-olds. Metier 9.8, Tritonic 12.0. They've got form over hurdles with each other. First Officer is 14.5, who I put up to win last time, was beaten the nose. Teed Up 12.0, Kemharm 15.5, Farhan 19.0. Bigger Price is the rest. Steve.
Yeah, I mean, it might be a bit of a cliche, because First Officer's trained by my one true love, James Chappell-Hyam, who I think is a great trainer. And I just think this horse has got way overpriced. Has only had 2 starts for Jane, was with Roger Varian earlier in the season. One first time up over 10 furlongs on soft ground at Nottingham and absolutely bolted up from the front. And then, like you say, last time at Doncaster was beaten and nosed by Unspoken, who was a horse coming back to form, having probably appreciated the softer ground. And going up to 1.5 miles, I think is absolutely what First Officer wants. Last run for Roger Varian was over 2 miles. So and First Officer's by Galileo. So there's loads of stamina in there. So I'm expecting First Officer to love 1.5 miles, slice through the mud. Got a low weight. 3-year-olds have got a decent enough record in here. And I just think this is got a great chance, First Officer.
Win and place?
You probably have a bit of a place kind of saver, but more on to win, because I think he will.
Charlie.
Yeah, I just echo all those comments, like you say. I'm getting on board with the Jane Chappell-Hyam love, for sure. As in, the horse seems to have improved very quickly for the shift to her yard. The wide draw as well is no problem. I think only one single figure draw winner in the last 10 years in this race. And he's tactically versatile as well. He can bowl along in front if David Egan wants to, or he can take a lead. So I'd loads to recommend him, and I think he's really big price.
Definitely take the point about the wide draw. That's why, part of the reason probably DC and I like Teed Up, DC.
The widest draw of all, Teed Up, yeah, Emmett Mullins' horse. He ran twice at the Galway races there, twice in 3 days, I think. Finished second and first. The second one was on soft. I think it was probably softer than that. If you can handle soft ground at Galway, I think you should be able for heavy ground at Doncaster. He had a little run out there again recently, just a couple of weeks ago at Leopardstown. Again, big drifter in the betting. Travelled strongly, didn't finish out the race. That should put him spot on for this. He's a nice mark, and I think you always have to respect when Emmett Mullins sends a horse over to something like this.
Yeah, absolutely agree. That's Teed Up must have a lovely chance. The wide draw is not a negative. Soft ground, lovely. Don't know if he's well treated, but he's trained by Emmett Mullins, so it probably is. And Metier, I thought was, I suppose it's hard to argue he should be favourite, but other than Isra, I definitely have him ahead of Nathaniel Green in the betting. Now he's drawn 10, fine. He hasn't had a run for a while. Maybe that's a concern. Maybe he'll need the run. I don't know. It's going to be testing ground, but that's not going to be a problem. He's a top level winner on heavy ground. Like, he won a Tolworth on heavy ground. He's the same sort of price as Tritonic. They're rated the same over obstacles, and he's getting a stone here. Safi Osborne claims 3. I really respect him. I think he'd be a fair win and place bet for me. and he's flatbred anyway. So there we are. Those are my 2 in the November handicap. Whew. Any other UK and Ireland bets? Is it just me? Does anybody have one? No, right. So I don't know what price this horse is, but the Racing Post have it. Hang on, I want to get this right. The Racing Post in the predicted prices, which we know it can be a load of shite anyway, have Sir Lawrence Graff, who has raced how many times? 6 times. Officially rated 85. Was beaten 10 lengths last time. Was beaten his only start at Chelmsford. Have him lightly 15-8 favourite. And High Honour, who cost an absolute shed load, was the pick of the paddock at Sandown when I saw him there, and the race won by arrest. I mean, he was green. It was just a glide round run. The form's very strong. Desert Order was second that day. He then beat Mud Skipper, who's a horse I like on soft ground at Goodwood. He's got cheek pieces on for the first time. I know that he has no official rating, but if he isn't better than 85, then my whatever is my whatever. I know he's got to give away 7 pounds. Like, this horse should be odds on. So if he's the quoted 9-4, then have it. 2.0 or bigger, I'll definitely be back with High Honour. I did have another one as well, but we're too busy. So there we are. There's a few in the tracker, incidentally. Let me
I just add into place Lawrence Graff in that race. I didn't even see that. Lawrence Graff is an incredibly disappointing horse, and you're probably getting 2 places in that. So stick in a place like him. I think he's a bit of a pig.
Yeah, so there's 7 runners in that. Honestly, if he won't. High Honour will be odds on, and he won't be 2.0 or bigger. But if he is, that's just a crazy idea of what the prices should be, in my opinion. So as far as the horses we've got running from the Horses to Follow podcast, we've got Mighty Potter at Down Royal today and American Mike. They're 1.24 and 1.37 respectively. So maybe don't back them if you don't, it's up to you. But worth keeping an eye on. And Ollie Murphy's Gunsight Ridge runs on Saturday in that 3:18 at Aintree. I thought he was pretty positive about the horse, who had a hard season last year. He's 4.0. I won't be backing him. Chris Gordon has the favourite. The horses are in good form, but I thought I'd mention it because Ollie Murphy was, I thought, positive about his return on the podcast. So you might want to support him. I don't know, he's second favourite currently. Okay, the sign-up offer before we get into the Breeders' Cup, which DC is pumped for. Insights 30, Insights 30 is the bonus code you need to use. It's the £30 welcome offer, money back as a free bet if your first bet loses. It's for new customers only, 18 plus, BeGambleAware. I know I say it all the time, but it is true. The best way to support this podcast and keep the 4 of us doing what we like doing and get paid to do, so please keep supporting us, it is by opening up a Matchbook account if you don't have one, and betting on horse racing sensibly, of course. So if you don't have a Matchbook account and you have a bet and it doesn't cop, you'll get your money back as a free bet up to £30. 18 plus, BeGambleAware. Use the bonus code Insights30, Insights30. There you go. And you're likely to be getting better odds with the nature of the exchange, as we point out to you each and every week. Okay, Breeders' Cup. Has anyone got anything for the Friday? I'm just going to rattle. Yeah, go on, Charlie.
Just dramatised in the turf sprint. Carl Burke's filly that was very, very impressive in the Queen Mary, and then didn't stay in the Lauder. Got an inside draw, and Ryan Moore's on top. So I thought she was a player. The Platinum Queen's drawn very wide in that, I think.
So I agree with you there in the sense that I think the Platinum Queen, like, I'd love her to win. She might be the best in the race, but this is going to be a really different tempo to anything she's faced before. And I'd rather back Love Reigns at 4.5 than I would Platinum Queen at 4.9, given their respective draws. So Love Reigns for me at 4.5 over Platinum Queen at 4.9, and Dramatise for Charlie. I haven't got the price in front of me, but is there double figures for Dramatise, or is she not quite that big, Charlie?
I mean, from what I'm seeing, she's not quite that big. I think she's sort of 6.0, something like that, 7.0.
Okay, that is I'll look at the opening race on the Friday. I'm just going to confirm the price for you. I'll get it here. Yeah. Oh, yeah, she's 6.4 dramatized. Love Reign's 4.4 now. The Platinum Queen 4.9. The 8:20, I wanted to the filly and mares. I want to take on this meditate. Or me. Oh, I got it wrong now, Steve. Meditate. I'm not sure she should head the betting at 3.75. There she is. Like she does. I know it's an American mile around Keeneland, but she doesn't want a mile. Sure, she doesn't. 3.75. Happy to take her on. I'm now of the opinion maybe she's not as good as we thought she was, because she bumped into that World filly and looked very good. But I don't know. I'm questioning that. Chad Brown's got a really good record in this. I think he's won it 4 times in the last 10 years. He won it 3 years on the bounce. He's got free look here at 11.5. I'll back her win and place very happily against Meditate. Free look 11.5. All right, Saturday. We have got a few selections going up for the Breeders' Cup. So, Steve, I'm going to come to you first of all, and we agree with Golden Pal to beat Highfield Princess. Why?
I was surprised that Golden Pal was as big as he is, because he won the race last year. We've probably got a different view of him over here, because when he's come over, he hasn't run very well, but in America, he's just lightning quick and going round a turn suits him very well. He goes very well at Keeneland, and I just think he'd be too quick. And Highfield Princess has been fantastic and quite incredible to the progress Highfield Princess has made to go from quite a lowly grade handicapper all the way through to an unthought winner. And she hasn't run over 5 furlongs much, but she needs another clear personal best. She keeps coming up with it, but Golden Pal on his own patch, I think, is just way too hard to beat.
I started off by thinking, okay, can Highfield Princess get this done? She has been round a bend before and won round a bend, so we can't level that against her. But then just watching Golden Pal back, I mean, I know he's drawn outside her, but he'll come across. She'll have to try and switch around him. Floaters makes it interesting as well because she has got speed. But this, honestly, Golden Pal round a bend on his home soil, he's the one to beat. I think he's 2.78 versus 3.55. What did I note down in front of me? Yeah, exactly that. I thought was fair enough. And I might just look to get out a half of it because I'm sure he'll trade odds on. So that it might be a bit of a trading race for me, but I'll keep some in there for the win.
He'll trade it 101
because he'll win
as he passes the line. He'll trade it. Yeah.
Well, happy days if he does. Okay, we've got Steve. You fancy Tuesday, do you, in the fillies and mares?
Yeah, I just thought the prices were wrong. Nashua had a really hard race in France in the pre-op.
550 this is. Sorry, Steve. 550. Go on.
And she's had quite a hard season, and I just think she's too short. And Tuesday is typical of those Aidan O'Brien horses that just keep running. She ran in the Lopper as well, and I think maybe a mile and 2 on decent fast ground is just what she wants. She obviously won the Oaks over a mile and a half, but I think a mile and 2 is, and she's got that form with Alpinista in the Yorkshire Oaks. So I just thought she was way too big against Nashua, who might just be having one run too many, going over to America on the back of that really hard race in France because she had a wide draw and she had to come use plenty of energy up to come across.
Okay, I'm with Nashua back on better ground from the lowest draw. I thought 2.6 was fair, and I'd rather have above the curve on side than Tuesday. So there we are. We'll probably all be wrong. Nashua 2.6, and yeah, that was big enough for me anyway. Would you be win and place Tuesday, Steve, or not?
No, just a small win.
Nashua 2.62, she is above the curve 6.6, Tuesday 7.0. Mise en scène, Giles Dexter says, looks a great price. What price is she? I put her up for a Guineas anti-post this year. That was a great shout. She didn't even make it there. She pulled out on the day. 29.0 she is. Lightly raced. She's been disappointing, but she's been lightly raced. And apparently they made the decision early enough to say, all right, let's target the end of the season for the Breeders' Cup. So interesting. I think she only had 3 races this year. What else have you got, Steve, for us for the Breeders' Cup? You've got Annapolis, and we agree, Annapolis in the mile. Go on then. Why I feel like the home team are really underestimated in this. They've got a better record than the Europeans in this, and Annapolis 11.5 just for me.
Yeah, exactly. The form ties in with a couple of the European ones, and I just thought again, Annapolis was completely overpriced, given that this race, it went way back. The Europeans used to have a great record in it, Royal Academy and all of those, and Miesk. And nowadays, the Americans have caught up over a mile, and Annapolis, like I say, isn't far behind on collateral form, and also likes to come from off the pace. I think they'll go quite quick in this, and you do need a bit of luck, but they often go too fast in the Breeders' Cup and set it up for something a bit further back.
Saw that a good bit last year. Yeah, I massively underestimated most of the home team here. I know that Appleby's got the favourite and he won 3 races there last year, but Annapolis, I thought 11.5, fair enough, win and place. The turf, interesting thoughts here. Charlie, I'll come to you first. So this is the 840, the turf. Charlie, you are with Stone Age, one of a couple of Aidan O'Brien's in there. Had a good look at Stone Age. Broome ran well in this last year.
Yeah, exactly. He's ran okay twice in America finished behind Nation's Pride both times, but he's had really shocking wide draws and was trapped very wide, certainly the last day. He's coming out of box 3 now, and Ryan's back on board. I thought he ran well in the Champion Stakes. He pitched out, made the run, and wasn't beat all that far. And if Ryan can get him out the gate from that inside draw and sort of dictate back over a mile and a half, but I just thought he was just too big. I don't know, what is he, 9.0, 10.0, Tom?
10.0 Stone Age. Yeah,
win and place for me. Yeah.
I'll put up Broome with you there, who was second last year under Irad Ortiz, and that was because they sort of went back to more sensible tactics with him. And again, Broome's been used as a bit of a Luxembourg bunny this year, and 17.0 I thought was fair enough. Win and place Broome. If you look back at last year's race, Broome was second, and it's because ultimately, compared to some of our top turf races, it's not the strongest mile and a half race, is it? Ultimately, Yabir won it last year, good, really good horse, but he wasn't exactly beating up his own age group over here over a mile and a half. So I think Broome can definitely place again. And I thought Nation's Pride as a progressive 3-year-old ticks all the boxes at 3.5. So I will have a win bet on him and a win and place on Broome. You're with the other Appleby runner, Jonesy.
Yeah, Rebels Romance, best bet of the night for me. And this horse is unbeaten on turf. Has, again, probably gone a little bit under the radar because we haven't seen much of Rebels Romance over here. Did win at Goodwood in the summer at the big festival when the bare form of that Group 3 wouldn't be good enough, but I thought did really well off a slow gallop. And that's the key to Rebels Romance. I think this horse has been desperate for a fast pace, and that is pretty much what Rebels Romance is surely going to get. And this race has been won by a horse coming from off the pace quite a lot. And I think that just shows you that they do go hard in this. And there's a lot of front runners down on the inside. So I think they're going to go a right pace in this and set it up for Rebels Romance and James Doyle, who's on the second string, but I think will get the glory. So yeah, Rebels Romance, who's been running in Germany as well. And I still think German form is underestimated, even though the last 2 Arc de Triomphe winners have had loads of German form. And I just think Rebels Romance has got a great chance.
Jawohl. Rebels Romance, second in the betting currently. I think we're just about done. I'm going to mention Jackie's Warrior in the sprint, who is 1.9 last time I checked. This horse has gone off at 1.5 for his last 4 starts or so. Now, the issue was he was beaten by Cody's Wish, who goes up in trip to run in the mile last time. That was over 7. Back over 6. This horse is too big. Last year at the Breeders' Cup, they went so hard, it was stupid. And look, maybe that'll happen again. But on his peak form, like at his best, even at 90%, this horse should be 1.5. So whilst I'm not always keen to back odds on, Jackie's Warrior is so much the best of these. I think 1.9 is fair enough. So I will be backing him. I'll probably put him in a few multiples as well. And the other one I want to do, I wonder if we can get the betting up for the classic. Life is Good is, I think, 9.0. Now, I'd only want to back him to trade out, but I'm pretty sure that he'll be leading for longer than Flightline is used to. Flightline, yeah, I think it all depends on when Flavien Prat takes it up, because I'm sure he'll win. I don't want to take on Flightline, but I think Life is Good. I think he should be clear in the betting of Epicenter. These 3-year-olds are going to struggle, I think, up against older horses like Flightline and Life is Good. And 9.0, I'd look to trade some of that at half that price, because he'll be up in front of Flightline longer than Flightline is used to, I think, and I think he'll trade a good bit shorter. So I just want to have a little exchange trade in that race. Okay, we have got best lays or back to lays. I've covered some of those. Charlie, you want to place lay Frodon in the Badger Beer?
Yeah, just I thought there was like a lot of pace in this race. He like Steve said earlier on, his form tailed off a lot at the end of last year, and yeah, with the big weight, I just thought there were plenty of negatives against him. Now he might bounce back and show all his back class, and he might make me look very foolish. But yeah, I'm willing to take him on place lay in a big field tomorrow.
Okay, I'm going to lay McFabulous in the Rising Stars, and I've covered a few back to lays as well. I think notably Life is Good in the main one at Keeneland. But yeah, lay McFabulous. Hopefully he's around about 2.0. Best bets. DC, you're still with us, Dees. Who's your best bet?
My best bet is Galvin in the Champion Chase at Down Royal.
Charlie, your best bet?
Yeah, it seems like a long time ago, but Galvin as well for me.
Jonesy, your best bet?
I'm going to stick to the flat, which will please these. Rhythm Master, who will love the testing ground, was third in the race last year and didn't get a particularly clear run. And that is in the Wentford Stakes at Doncaster. And I think the time is 12:50.
My best bet is Metier in the November handicap. Job done. We got there in under an hour. Boss, Jonesy, thank you very much. DC, thank you. Charlie Post, great stuff as ever. Don't forget to like and subscribe via your preferred podcast app or on YouTube, and head to insights.matchbook.com for a recap of all the bets that have gone up there. Trevor, thank you. Everyone else that joined in, thank you. We'll chat to you again soon. Ta-ra.